So the popularity or the hype of Yang Zings is actually coming down a decent amount after this last weekend. A few dedicated players, myself. I know that Vexicus is still exploring the deck. We're still trying to break the deck, figure out what things work, what things don't. And for me, actually went undefeated at my locals over the weekend with my build, which we'll go over in a minute. But I've been doing a lot of I've been trying to find different cards that'll set off Yang Zings without player interaction. Right before ARGCS, Fraser Smith put on the ARG website pretty much his overview of all the decks of the format. Of the new stuff out of Duelist Alliance, and basically said about Yang Zing, they're bad, they require too much interaction from the other player to make them good, and basically play against children if you're playing Yang Zing, because they're the only people you can beat. Like, he said some pretty harsh stuff, but I understand where it was coming from. He's saying that smart players against Yang Zings, they're not going to attack into your Yang Zings and set off their effects. They're going to sit back till they can make an Abyss Dweller, till they can make a 101, till they can get around your cards without their effects going off. And he's right. So what we need is a way to proc our own effects other than crashing, because they may just put their stuff in defense mode and say, have at it. So we need ways to make our monsters do the work. Our opponents aren't always going to do it for us. We're not always going to have Dark Hole or Torrential Tribute. So, these three cards kind of represent keys to the deck in different ways. Archfiend Eater. I was playing for a long time, and when this card's in my graveyard during my opponent's end phase, it can special summon itself by destroying one monster in my field. Obviously, it destroys a Yang Zing. We get the search. We also now have an Archfiend Eater to sync with. I liked this card at first. I kept drawing into it. That was bad, and a lot of people are saying, well, play Phoenix Wing Blast and all these other things. Tried it, didn't like it. Tried playing double Mathematician. I think even played triple at one point to get this guy in the graveyard early, and that was actually working okay, but then I had a Mathematician on the field, which really wasn't doing much for me at all. And I'm not saying that Mathematician needs to do much, because it gets you, sets up plays for you, but I was finding that it wasn't what I was looking for. So Archfiend Eater, if I got it in my opening hand, was bad. If I didn't get it into the graveyard within the first couple turns, and I saw it later in the game, it was bad. Ran it with Foolish for a while, still not what I needed it to be. So I've cut this card from all of my builds, and maybe it'll be revisited later. So let's talk about these two. Now, we all know about Needle Sealing. Needle Sealing, in theory, should be amazing for this deck, and it's a way that it's just like another Torrential Tribute, basically, that we can actually get around some of the bad effects of it by setting things that aren't Yang Zings. And what I was running into is that Shadows with Winda and setting their monsters, they weren't being hurt by Needle Sealing, so I'd get Needle Sealing early in the game and it would just sit there. And I couldn't do anything with it. Either the amount of monsters on the field didn't match, or I'd have to set it. It would get MST'd. It just wasn't working out for me. So that brought me to this third card, which is Thunder Crash. And I've received mixed reviews when people actually read what this card does. Basically, destroys all the cards on my side of the field, and I do 300 damage to my opponent for each one. Now, why is that good? First and foremost, it's a spell. So as soon as I draw this card, it's live in my hand. And if I have a Chi-Wen in my graveyard or a creation on the field, it's not a minus. Now, saying that it requires another card for it not to minus sounds really bad. But if you take into account what Yang Zings do, when you destroy them with creation, we get to special summon. If Chi-Wen's in the graveyard, we get to pull that out of the graveyard. All of a sudden, you're making the correct numbers on the field that you need to combo off of. And then, if you end up going into a backseat at the end of it, all of a sudden that maybe that potential break even or -1 has turned into a +3 because Thunder Crash exists. So it's allowing us to destroy all the monsters on our side of the field. Does a little burn too, which we don't really care about, but I'll talk about that in a second actually. And it sets up our plays. And I've been playing it at 2, and it seems to be the best, off-theme enabler that I've played. Now, I'm not saying that everyone will agree with this. I'm not saying that this is the best idea, but it's what I've come to. And I've been playing Yang Zings now for about 3 to 4 months, so I would hope that what I've come to over those months at least means something to you guys. Now, some people are still keeping the needle ceilings in the main or moving them to the side, and I think the side may be the best spot for it. I'm still working on my side. There's so many cards I want to play on my side, and I don't have enough room. But we'll go over my build that I played over the weekend, which does include 2 copies of Thunder Crash. And we'll just go over that real quick. I've done now 2 videos where I explained the ins and outs of Yang Zing, so hopefully you guys still don't need that. Another thing about Thunder Crash is, you know, Game 2, Game 3, your opponents are going to start siding in floodgates. You can start siding in floodgates. And floodgates, if you don't know, are things that completely shut off part of your opponent's deck. It just it stops it. Like it's pretty self-explanatory what it means. I actually don't need to explain that. But let's go over the deck. I did go undefeated at locals with this deck over the weekend. I actually pulled a Baxia and a Chiwin out of my prize pack, so as you can see, I'm very Yang Zing centric now. This mat came from a friend, Donnell Washington. He got top 8 at the San Antonio Regional with Shadows. I wasn't able to go. He picked up this mat for me. Obviously, I, gave him some money for it, but I love this mat. It looks amazing with the Yang Zings and the red sleeves. But let's go over the deck. We have triple Suani, triple Beyond, triple Bixie. I say Bixie, but I now know that this is actually pronounced Bishi. And I think one of my viewers actually corrected me in maybe one of the first or second videos. And I have confirmed that this is in fact pronounced Bishi. And I don't know if this is Chaiwin or Chiwin. I've been calling it Chaiwin, but I probably butcher all these guys' names, and this is Pulau. So, still the same basic lineup as the last video. This has changed a little bit here. I'm running double Junk Synchron and 1 Mass Chameleon, rather than the other way around, 2 Chameleons, 1 Junk Synchron. I really like Junk Synchron. He's great for initiating plays. I play him, get out a Bishi, all of a sudden I have a Trap Immune Synchro on board, and then a level 5, and if I have any other stuff out on the field already, I could go even higher. Of course, getting the Trap Immune Synchro underneath Skill Drain is pretty much the best thing you can do in the deck. You can do amazing things. So we are running the 2 Junk Synchrons, and Junk Synchron's a dark tuner as well, so it allows us to make Beals, and Beals did win me a game over the weekend, so I'm feeling pretty confident about the 2 Junk Synchrons and the 1 Chameleon. Chameleon's kind of slowly losing favor with me. I find it more dead than I was when I first started playing it. It still has been really good in certain situations, and those situations are outweighing the dead situations currently. But when I build a deck, I like cards to be as, I don't know how to explain it, as undead as possible, and this guy is on the radar as being somewhat dead lately, so he's not on the chopping block, I would say. I think I'll probably keep him at 1 for a while because of the potential he has, but he needs to start doing better for me. I'm running triple Yang Zing Path. I saw some builds running 2. I still think 3 is the way to go with Yang Zing Path. It's too good when it goes off. You can make it go off pretty early in the duel. If you open, obviously, double Yang Zing Path, it's not going to be great. But, I mean, if you're getting these Yang Zing Paths past turn 3, past turn 4, and you just get them all in a row, you'll probably be very live. You'll be glad that you're playing them. 3-Pawn of Duality still to smooth out the draws. I'm pretty much going to swear by this card. It's too good. Yang Zings, again, we don't have broken opening hands. We just don't. If you can get Creation, Skill Drain instead of Yang Zing, you're usually in business, and Pot of Duality will help you get to that. There's not a proactive special summoning opening turn with Yang Zings yet. There will be eventually. Next we have double Thunder Crash. Thunder Crash we just talked about. It's an enabler. It's a card that you can easily side out if there's a good floodgate card or you need to reach for those MSTs. So game 1, this card's been nothing short of amazing. I haven't drawn it late game dead when I'm top decking or anything yet. I know that's a potential for any card, and if you draw this by itself, obviously it's terrible. But I did actually draw this card late, and it won me a game. I had got my opponent down to 200 life points, and he actually made a nice comeback. He made a crazy box under my Skill Drain, and at that point of the duel, he ended up clearing my field. So I have a Chaiwin in my hand, and I draw onto Thunder Crash. So I go Chaiwin, Thunder Crash, deal 300 damage. It was actually pretty funny, but and I know that's not the reason we play Thunder Crash, or I'm not playing it, but it worked out pretty well for me. Dark Hole, Mind Control, and Soul Charge. Soul Charge is still only at 1. You gotta think, I'm playing 3 skill drains and a Solemn Warning, so that's 5k of self-burn in itself. So even if I just do 1 skill drain and 1 Solemn Warning, that's 3k. I don't want to, like, kill myself 100%. I think that life points are a very important tool for a duelist. You obviously don't want to burn them all yourself because you want to give yourself some wiggle room, but people don't seem to forget that, you know, your life points are a tool, and that these cards use. So it's good to use it. I mean, if you're winning a duel with 3,000 life points rather than with 8,000? I mean, what's the difference as long as the outcome's the win? I know that's not perfect logic there, but it is the reason I'm running one soul charge. I don't have the luxury of resolving multiple soul charges in a duel with the way I play the deck. Triple Yang Zing creation sets the deck off. You want to open with this if possible. And the other card you want to open with is Skill Drain. Just too good against every single deck in the format. It's just really good. I can't get past how good it is. It's going to be played in Quillpoths, or I can't say their names for the life of me. The Acorn deck. I don't know how to say their names. I feel terrible. They're going to main 3 skill drain as well. So what's good about that is that you know, it doesn't hurt us. They're going to be one of the next meta decks. So then we have 2 Wiretap, and why 2 Wiretap over MSTs? If you think about, if you played against Shadows a lot, you know that if you ever try to blind MST a Shadow player, like, I swear every time, it's going to be Sinister Shadow games. And they're just going to chain it, and they're going to get all their effects, and your MST was useless, and it sucks. Or you're going to play against Telenites, so they're going to flip over Alpha, and, you know, your MST, again, is useless. You know, with the main deck traps that the new decks have, and, you know, the usual suspects, the D prisons, all this other stuff, I think that Wiretap's a better main deck choice than MST. I know they're not the exact same card, but, you know, it's still, you know, anti-back row stuff. Obviously, putting a Vanity's Emptiness back in their deck isn't as good as getting rid of it, but I'm talking about for Game 1. I know that Vanity's Emptiness is being mained in some decks now. I think that for Game 1, I'd rather have the Wiretaps, and that's the decision I've come to. We are still running the 1 Call, the 1 Compulse, the 1 Torrential, the 1 Warning, and the 1 Bottomless. So that's the entire deck. Not too many cards have changed. The Wiretap is a change. I used to main the Double Needle Ceiling, which, again, is not a bad card. It's just that there's too many Shadow players at my locals, and it's just not good against Shadow. So I'm thinking about moving it to the side. I actually cut it completely over this last weekend, and I didn't really miss it. So I don't know if I'll put that back in the side, but it's better in the side than in the main for sure. So that's the build. We'll go over the extra deck again, just because, you know, not everyone's seen every single one of my videos. Double Baxia, Leo, Mistworm, Beals, Star Spark. Interesting thing happened. Someone randomly had hot red Dragon Archfiends already in their hand, and I ordered one, so I should be getting that next week. So that's pretty cool. It's like a month early. Blader, Scrap Dragon, Black Rose, Goyo, Vulcan. A lot of people are telling me to play HTS Psyhemoth, and I see their reasoning, but I really like Vulcan. It's kind of like a more personal choice for me. But I do see that Psyhemoth is really good against certain matchups, and I may end up making room for him. Armades, as of right now, I'm only playing 1, but when the reprints comes out, and depending on the pricing, I may bump it up to 2, because I am playing the Double Junk Synchron now. Catastor, these 2 guys definitely won me a game this last weekend, so they will keep their spots. If you get to a very simplified game state late, these cards become invaluable. You can make them very easily with your Yang Zings, and they represent a lot of positive things for you. For example, I was going against Lightsworn Ruler. This guy sat out there for a good 4 turns before he could destroy it, and when he destroyed it, I was able to make a huge play off of the special summon. I think I special summoned his Diablos and synchroed it on the next turn. It was nasty. it just walled up for so many turns and then ended up sealing the game for me. So Samsara Dragon did some good things. I don't think I have my side deck currently set. There's probably too many cards in here. I don't think we really need to go over it, but we'll kind of take a glance at what I'm thinking about. I think every Yang Zing player needs to have a copy of Consular Sombre. If you didn't know, Consular Sombre in the Yu-Gi-Oh lore is the one that created the Yang Zings. If you actually look at your Yang Zing creation, you can see this little guy up here with the ring around him. That's actually Consular Sombre creating the Yang Zings in this picture. So it's kind of cool. Definitely cool, actually. So I think every Yang Zing player should have a copy of Sombre floating around somewhere. These are cards I was considering for the side. I don't remember exactly which ones made the cut, but I've just been like taking stuff in and putting it out over the last few days. Flying Seas, anti-Telenite. The Metallions and the Grand Mole are anti-Shadow. The Imperial Iron Walls, anti a lot of things right now. People are just going to try to remove your stuff. People are siding into what's that card called? What is it called? Noblemen of Crossouts, D-Prisons, things like that. And you know, if you run into that random macro player, you want to have an answer. Also, it makes your Chaiwin or Chiwin reusable out of the graveyard. Light Imprisoning. Light Imprisoning plus Skill Drain against Telenites is pretty backbreaking for them. I haven't had a huge problem against that deck. Same thing can be said about the Shadow Imprisoning with the Burning Abyss and the Shadow. MSTs in the side, Crossout on the side, and the Mind Crush. Again, this is more than 15 cards, I'm pretty sure. I think it's like 16 or 17. But I'm still trying to cut down the numbers. I have Stygian Dirges. I don't know if I'm going to play them. Think that may be more hype than actual practicality there. But that's the deck. I actually have a video planned for next week where I explain the Yang Zings on a more, not lore, but real life, what they mean and Chinese culture and things like that. So that's the deck, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll probably not put out another deck list for a few weeks unless something drastically changes. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them below. And thanks, guys.